Hey there, welcome to Studio 5, a basketball legend story you may not know, now being shared in a new film. New music and more music on the way from Chandler Moore, and a new Transformers film. We've got them for you all this week, but first, let's get to this week's countdown of the top 5 stories in the world of uplifting entertainment. Here are your first 2.
At number 5.
You gotta stay humble. Pride always comes before the fall. I've seen it before, know what I'm talking about, right?
I got this, man.
A Studio 5 first look at the newest film to the PureFlix platform. This is God's Country Song, and it streams June 16th.
It's time you met your son.
I'm from Child Services. Up until a few weeks ago, this little boy had a loving mother. He needs his father.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
I know how to be a dad. I can ruin his life.
You got your parents?
You see him?
You come strolling back into our lives with a little boy, and now you want our help.
At number 4.
Some of my new music from my new EP, The Hope of My Soul.
Major's new The Hope of My Soul project is now available for the world to sample.
She stole my heart in record time, a beauty like a joy divine. She hypnotized me, she got me, and I didn't mind.
I want people to understand that this concept is not just some fluffy cliche. It's to be understood that Major Hope would be synonymous with the unapologetic embrace of it.
That begins our countdown and brings us to a new film streaming on multiple platforms. It's called Sweetwater, and it stars actor Everett Osborne, who brings back to life the story of the first African-American player to sign a contract with the NBA. His name is Nathaniel Clifton, but everywhere he went, they called him Sweetwater.
Nathaniel Clifton, I always know you was born with a higher purpose.
How much did you know about Sweetwater's story before coming to this film?
I'm ashamed to say it, but then again, I'm not, man. I knew nothing. I knew who Michael Jordan was and all the greats that came before, but I had no idea who Sweetwater was.
Joe Lapchick.
Matt Clifton. Some call me Sweetwater.
I coach a team called the New York Knickerbockers.
Ain't no Negroes playing your league.
It's not going to be like that forever.
Your thoughts when you do realize the gravity of this man, what are you thinking?
To think about the first African-American to sign an NBA contract, to break that line, to open up the door for so many people I herald and respect, and to think that I didn't know who he was, it's just, wow, this is one of those unsung, unknown trailblazers. Right? I mean, even Michael Jordan said there's no Michael Jordan without Sweetwater. So for me, just to have the opportunity to step into this space and just to learn about this man, and then have the responsibility to portray him and present him with an amazing team, it was just truly humbling and a gift.
Sweetwater knows this game better than anyone. I will fight for this. I want to fight with you.
Sweetwater, that was your last game wearing a Trotter uniform. Your next game will be in a Knick jersey.
What struck you most about the story in terms of learning about him and getting to know him and becoming him, if you will?
I think the grace, the grace and essence of just understanding there's a deeper level of purpose, of truth, no matter what life is presenting you.
You know you can't play him.
The guy is the future of the NBA.
It's like, how do you go through all of these obstacles but still maintain a level of grace, of positivity, and ultimately an understanding of self and value? Because I think a lot of us portray our values to what we do or what we receive, and he had a deeper understanding of knowledge and value that's very beautiful.
This ain't about the color of my skin. It's about being true to the game of basketball.
We completely revolutionized the game and created a beautiful canvas for beautiful players like LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Dr. J, Magic Johnson, like all these guys to kind of build on that platform that Sweetwater presented.
Take me to the set. What was it like? What was the process like, that time in your life? What was it like?
Well, I mean, this is my first time leading a film, right? And it's with an all-star cast. So I went from an unknown name to walking on Warner Brothers lot amongst Richard Dreyfuss, Carrie Elwes, Kevin Pollak, Jeremy Piven. It's just a dream come true, right? And it was a beautiful environment. Shout out to Martin Gigi, the director and writer. I mean, this script was cooking for 28 years. So it was very seasoned and well groomed for me to just step in and be, supported. So it felt like home, and it was so much magic.
Change is happening, but I don't know that my city can take it.
Do you have a hope and prayer for the project now that it is being rolled out in different spaces for us to watch?
If people's heart were softened enough to just for a little bit be inspired or find any nuggets about, you know, stepping into the unknown. Yeah, I know these systems are in place, but is there a possibility for reforming, even in my own life, in my own household, in my own family, my own thoughts? Is there room to grow? And I think once you get to that question, you'll land at a yes, because ultimately we're all living and breathing for a higher purpose. So I think that truth lies with all of us.
Did you see yourself in him anywhere?
Absolutely. When I was watching videos of him, I saw a key, one little key that I noticed, and I was like, hey, you know what, I can kind of relate to that. And it was him speaking on how he wished the NBA was able to see what he really could have done. He didn't say that, but I had to kind of read between the lines. He said that when he finally got to the NBA, when he finally endured so much to become the first Black player to cross on that court, right, and play and sign the contract, and it's like your dreams come true, he was stifled because the other players didn't want him to outshine them. So it's like you worked so hard for so long and you battled, am I valuable enough, am I not? And you finally have that opportunity and you never fully express what you can really be in this lifetime. And I know what that feels like as far as, you know, working hard at something and then questioning, can I make it, can I not? And then not fully being able to express something that you feel like you can offer. You know, it kind of puts me in a weird place as a human being, a very vulnerable place. But, you know, Sweetwater made it through, and it's a beautiful story, and you'll be able to see how he did it.
It's unnecessary to have all this razzle-dazzle on our courts, and that's what the Negro players will do.
But every time we step on this court, it means something.
Sweetwater is streaming right now on Prime and Apple TV. By the way, Nat Sweetwater Clifton retired from the NBA in 1958 and then worked as a taxi driver in Chicago until his death in 1990 when he suffered a heart attack inside his cab. In 2014, he was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Still ahead. The familiar voice behind this new sound helps us to celebrate Black Music Month. At number 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the stars of our show. Sajak and Vanna White.
A major shakeup in the game show world. From the longest-serving host in history.
Breaking news from the television world, and this has a lot of us talking.
Pat Sajak made a major announcement on Twitter. He said the next season of Wheel of Fortune will be his final one. Sajak wrote, well, the time has come. I've decided that our 41st season, which begins in September, will be my last. It's been a wonderful ride, and I'll have more to say in the coming months. Many thanks to you all.
At number 2.
Burns good or burns bad? It burns good.
Oh! Flamin' Hot premieres at number 1 for Searchlight in its streaming release to Disney and Hulu platforms.
Spicy? Yeah, see, that's how I got here. Dear God, please forgive me for the gang, the drugs, the stolen cars.
What the heck, man? Let's move it.
Hey, he is pranked.
It's the inspiring story of Richard Montañez, a one-time janitor at Frito-Lay, who had a hand in bringing the spicy snack to the world.
Flamin' Hot is the most inspiring film for you.
Yes.
Since
I mean, I was involved with Pursuit of Happiness when I was an executive, you know, because we talked. I was an executive at Sony Pictures. And that movie, being able to be a part of that film and that experience was life-changing. And this is the first film since then that I've been a part of where I feel the same way.
Well, that leaves us with just one more story. In this week's countdown, we'll have the number 1 story to share with you in just a little bit. Right now, we turn to music. June is dubbed Black Music Month. So it's a great time to revisit some of our Studio 5 musical guests and share some of their newer music. This week, it's Chandler Moore, who we caught up with backstage in Oklahoma City. He sampled some of his new stadium sound for the crowd, and he's still releasing even more worship music as we wait for that solo project to drop.
This was really the vision when I started doing music, or even the dream. It was just to really take what I felt in private and hopefully inspire a couple hundred people in my local church and my local friends and stuff. So the fact that God has taken that little seed and grown it into something I could have never imagined is beyond my wildest dreams. When I first started doing music, I left basketball. Basketball was my love of my life, and started doing music. My parents grew up. My dad's a pastor, and I was so in love with music, Christian music, R&B, pop, country, that it consumed my hours. But it was all for my local church. It was all like, dang, I can't wait till my dad in the church hear this, or they may not even accept it right now, but a couple of years it's going to, so for God to take it to the world and for me to be able to travel it all across the world, and people sing the songs that the Lord has given me in hard places and great places, on the mountain and the valley. It has refreshed me in ways I can't even speak of. The new songs are honest. They're so honest, and they're more so, they feel like psalms. You know, David went from singing about God's goodness and faithfulness to, God, I don't feel you right now, and I don't know where you at, and to God, get them. They trying to get me, and even songs of, building yourself up. I encourage myself in the Lord. So the songs are very honest, very real, and very missional. This generation is so full of potential and so ready to see a move of God that we've never seen or experienced before. And I think with that, anytime we see, before in the Bible, whenever we see a nation prosper, before that, we see a nation be persecuted, we see a nation struggle, we see a nation go through hell. And I think you can feel the waters and the tide changing in this generation, where hearts are being opened, minds are being opened, ideas, things that we used to think about church are kind of being regulated, changed. And I feel like it's the Spirit of God coming in saying, hey, forget the former, throw away the old. I'm here and I'm doing something new.
We are indeed keeping an ear out for Chandler's new stadium sound. We'll be sure to share that with you right here on Studio 5 when it drops. We need to take a quick break right here, but before we do, we want to honor a life well lived. Studio 5 is a CBN production, and our CBN family is mourning the loss of our founder, Pat Robertson. He is our focus in this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
Pictures help to tell his story. Pat Robertson, minister, television host, broadcaster, educator, humanitarian, and one-time presidential candidate. He may be best known for his prayer and political commentary on the 700 Club, but his rise to prominence is rooted in obedience to a call and vision from God. It began with the Christian Broadcasting Network in 1960, but led to the creation of a Christian university, a legal advocacy group, a disaster relief organization, and so much more. Pat died at his Virginia Beach home Thursday at age 93. We celebrate a life well lived and honor him in this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. Just moments away.
Hair raiser carries this sense of regalness with her. But at the same time, she's a fighter.
The silver screen heats up with the days of summer.
Cheeto is the man. It's a sense of family with the Maximals.
Autobots and Maximals. See where the newest installment of the Transformers fits in.
Welcome back to Studio 5. The summer box office heats up again. This time, it's Transformers: Rise of the Beast. It opened to a more than $60 million domestic box office. That was more than enough to take down Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
It's about to be epic. about to be crazy. This is about to be epically crazy.
This is an emergency. Can you hear me, Mirage? Roll out.
Peter Cullen gets behind that mic and he goes deep into Optimus Prime mode. You're like, whoa, this is really happening.
We have one last hope. Stephen Caple Jr. really is sensational. He's thoughtful, he's energetic, he's moving, he instills that confidence. Take the wheel. Yeah, baby!
In every Transformers movie, Optimus Prime and a lead human being are always close. And this is the first time in the film where you see these two characters who are trying to figure things out.
You brought a human here. Transformers Rise of the Beasts has the same ingredients that were there at the beginning. There is that integrity, there's a dignity, there's courage.
In chronological order, this is the second Transformers movie. It takes place during the 90s, shortly after Bumblebee. You find a kid struggling with how he's able to provide for his family.
My character Noah is ex-military, and I feel like I'm failing at every turn. Then I meet Mirage.
Pete Davidson is the voice of Mirage. He's kind of like the rebellious Autobot.
You looking good, man. There you go. Now we're friends.
Elena works at the museum. She's investigating something which brings Noah into her life. Who are you?
The janitor.
Really? And that kind of opens a whole new world for her. Let's get her. Oh, okay, serial.
We go on this crazy journey with the Autobots. We meet the Maximals.
We've seen the Maximals in graphic novels, and we've seen them in a cartoon, but we have never seen them in live action.
He's a really larger-than-life, likable character.
There is more to us than meets the eye.
It's a sense of family with the Maximals.
Autobots and Maximals, all as one. Maximals, maximize!
There's a lot of action, there's humor.
Stranger danger!
And there's a lot of heart. They're going against their biggest nemesis ever.
Everything you cared for will be consumed.
They've never faced anything like this before.
Let them come.
Transformers Rise of the Beast is in theaters right now, where it continues to do well in week 2 of its release. Well, it is almost time for another quick break, but not before we share the final headline in uplifting entertainment. Here's what's finishing on top in this week's countdown.
At number 1. Tina Turner's life continues to inspire, even after her private funeral. Some of that inspiration comes at this Texas hotel, where there is a room now dedicated to the legendary artist, who was also a vocal survivor of domestic abuse.
The interesting fact of the hotel is that in July of 1976, this hotel, as the Ramada Inn, was the hotel that Tina Turner escaped from Ike Turner on July 3rd of 1976 from the Statler Hilton in downtown Dallas, ran across Interstate 30, ran out of the back of the Statler, and ended up at the front desk of this hotel with 36 cents and a mobile gas card to her name.
The room dedicated to Tina is called the Escape Room.
That was the turning point in her life, from what was probably the darkest hour of her life, to make that decision to escape from a life of abuse.
Welcome back to Studio 5. Music fuels this production every week, and this week it's country music's Miranda Lambert alongside Leon Bridges. Take a listen and you'll hear why If You Were Mine is what's playing in my ear this week.
Get a hold of you, I never let you leave. I'd make sure your stars are shining, sure as the Frio is winding. I'd follow you up like lightning. I wrote the moon for you a million times. That's what I'd do if you were mine.
Time flies when you're having fun, and we are just about out of that time for this edition of Studio 5. So, Before time runs out, let's take a look at a story we're working to bring you come next week.
A little something new from Disney Pixar.
Meet the residents of Element City. Air usually has their head in the clouds.
Oh, my new jacket!
Earth can be a little seedy.
Nothing weird going on here.
Just a little pruning. Water is always getting into something. And fire? As ordered, we run a little hot.
The cast pulled back the curtain for a behind-the-scenes look at the creation.
So you've never left Firetown?
Sorry, buddy. Elements don't mix.
Hope you'll come back and join us for that and so much more next week. Right now, we've got time for just one more thing before we wrap this week's show, and we want to give that to actor Everett Osborne.
What's faith meant for you on this journey? Because you are certainly on a journey that's not the easiest as an athlete, actor, you name it. What's faith meant?
Oh, wow, it's meant everything. You know, if I went off of what I saw in life, I wouldn't have went far, right? I had to truly believe that there was something better for me on the other side. I had to truly believe that I was worth more than what was written on paper. I had to truly believe that. And, you know, what do you do in the middle? When you're in the middle of the ocean, you can't go back because you're so far from where you started, right? And or you don't want to go back to what you've seen. But then you don't even know where you're going. What do you do, right? So you're stuck. But for me, what got me unstuck was believing in a higher purpose, believing in God, having faith. Like, you know what? There's something on the other side. And because I believe, I'm going to walk in that belief, right? I'm going to work out. I'm going to talk positive to myself. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to speak positive things to others. I'm going to show love to others because I expect that something better is on the other side. And I think that helped me kind of keep moving forward. And it still helped me today, honestly.
Well, Everett, thank you. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come back. See where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching.